Hey guys, just thought I'd do a quick banner review of the Persona 5 Royal crossover. The long and the short of it is that Joker's going to be a really useful character for Arena and all waves of subjugation, but probably better in waves 2 and 3. Queen's going to be a pretty good damage dealer and a good turret for Arena, and then Fox is a decent handout character with a Water Crush ability, so if you don't have Abstract Theo or Fractured Argo, he'll be pretty useful for you, but overall his passives are kind of weak. I'll quickly talk about Lacrima Lev at the end as well, since he's a great character. Okay, onto the Persona banner. First we have Joker. His HP is around 80,000, attacks at 8,700, that's great. Defense of 4,900 is pretty low, and then base agility. His character skill is really good. 200% damage to an enemy 4 times, and that'll increase by 60% when HP is below 50%, so gotta get him taking a little bit of damage to get the max out of that, so he can do up to 1280% damage. He'll also break defense by 30% for 30 seconds, similar to Celeb Gale. In terms of his passives, he has Vigor as the first passive, Pursuit as his second passive of 40% on chain attacks of 3 or more. That's why he can be pretty flexible and you can use him in really any wave. Obviously waves 2 and 3 will be a little bit better in subjugation, just so you can get him below 50% and do the max damage with his character skill, but that Pursuit makes him really versatile, also makes him handy for Arena as a turret. I guess you could try to run an agility build on him, but without like a temp agility passive it's not as easy. And then lastly we have Void Rush, which sucks, and because it's a third passive it's halved, so it's only 20%. So that's pretty bad as a third ability. His Debris is certainly nothing to write home about. Attack up by 10%. It's not worth going for that at all if you're free to play. Save that one for the whales. Or if you like the purple icon. In terms of his weapon, it's again a pretty mid weapon. Nothing to solely pull on the banner for. HP of 29,748. Pretty good attack at 2,900. Pretty low defense at 1,700. First skill's a Blitz, 100% damage to an enemy 5 times, that's pretty good. This weapon skill has a typo, it says Rebel's Bold Vigor, should probably just be Rebel's Vigor, but it'll give a self buff to attack of 30% for 30 seconds as well as dealing some pretty low damage. Passives are okay, you'd probably really only use this weapon as a sub-slot weapon, so attack up 15% and pursuit of 15% on chain attacks of 3 or more. Also has a barrier skill, handy for Recollections of Dusk. Okay, let's go on to the next character, which will be Queen. HP of around 69,000. Great attack at 8,800, that's awesome. Pretty good defense too, 5,400. And base agility. Her character skill will deal some big damage when the target's burnt. So deal 200% damage to an enemy 4 times. That will be doubled when the target has a burn. So she can do up to 1,600% damage. That's really good, but burning, that's a bit of a task to do. Certainly easy enough for your fire subjugation team versus the Wind Moose, but in other circumstances it's not the easiest status to put on. And it might be good for tower too. In terms of her passives, Vigor, attack up by 25%, it's pretty nice. And then Ambush, crit rate up 25%, so also really good. So she'll see some use probably as a turret in Arena. That's quite good. I think with her rank bonuses too, she gets 1150 base agility. So yeah, she could be a decent replacement for Lavania in Arena. Although EX or Lacrima Lavania are probably going to function a bit better than her. It just depends on your memoirs and if you can get a high enough crit rate with them. In terms of the third passive, it's Blaze Rush, so again that sucks, and her Debris is crit rate up 5%, certainly not worth going for, unless again you like the purple icon. Her weapon might be decent as a sub-slot weapon for subjugation or tower, things like that. Pretty low HP at 23,000, attack of 3,600 is really good and really high, and then 1,800 defense. First skill will do a burn. So 65% damage to an enemy 5 times with a 100% chance to burn for 3 turns, that's decent. And then she has a Vigor skill similar to Joker's weapon, where she'll increase her attack 30% for 30 seconds. In terms of the passives, the first one's Vigor of 15%, and the second one is Ambush of 15%. So pretty decent sub-slot weapon if you're lacking some crit rate. And then it has a barrier skill too, that's nice. If I go and have a look for Fox, who is a free handout character, let's quickly go through him. But basically, in summary, he has a Water Crush ability, which is really nice if you don't have Theo, Abstract Theo that is, or Fractured Argo. So if we look at his skills quickly, character skill is that Water Crush, so at max, the enemy it will do 110% damage 4 hits, and increase water damage received by 20% for 30 seconds. Pretty decent. In terms of the other skills, he has Ward, you know, all allies defense up. Let me go into the library, I'll switch to the library view. Alright, back with the library view since it's a little bit neater. His first passive is going to be Ward, all allies defense up by 15%. Pretty bad, really. Second passive is Toughness, HP up by 20%. Again, meh. And then lastly, Ice Water Rush, which is awful. So really the only useful thing about him is his character skill, which is a decent Water Crush for the versus Fire Subjugation. And then if we quickly look for his weapon, essentially it's going to be a half-decent tower weapon with a Ripper ability and a defense up for 30 seconds as well. So this is his sword, it's just called Katana, very basic. Yeah, so this first skill will do 35% damage times 4 at max. It has that 75% weighting on defense and 25% on attack in terms of its damage dealing. We don't have a defense meta yet, so these abilities aren't the greatest. But then it'll decrease attack by 30% for 30 seconds, so decent Ripper ability. In terms of the second weapon skill, it'll be defense up 30% for 30 seconds. And then passives are Liquid Boon and Aegis, so Liquid Boon's nice. And then it has a rank 2 barrier skill as well. So that's pretty much it for the Persona Royale crossover characters. There's a companion called Jack Frost coming out too, which will have a render ability from memory, so that's a good companion. In terms of Lacrima Lev, or Piss Lev as many people have been calling him, I've been calling him Cracked Lev because he's both good and he has lots of cracks on him. If we have a look at him, he's going to be really good for Arena. And I saw a JP player do some crazy things with this guy in Wave 3 of their Wind Subjugation team, using him similarly to Bloody Lavania, and I'll certainly be trying to do that if I ever unlock him. I've had a few pulls for him, but unfortunately whiffed. So his HP is 72,000, that's great. Attack, 6,900, pretty mid. 4,700 defense and base agility, but remember Lavania will have 1,150 thanks to rank bonuses. In terms of his character skill, it decreases the defense of all enemies by 30% for 45 seconds, and gives them a Wind Crush as well of 30% for 45 seconds. Similar to Fractured Akeha, so really, really good. In terms of his passives, this is why he's going to be so good for Arena. He has a Valiance of 20% for 60 seconds, so that's the biggest Valiance buff. He has Tempest Verve, which will increase the attack of equipped wind element weapons by 40% for the party, so that's great. Similar to Celeb Akeha's ability, but for wind instead of dark. So if you use him in conjunction with a gun user like Yuri or Lacrima Griff, or anyone who uses the wind subjugation gun, they're going to be doing some nice damage. Other good wind arena weapons include the Iron Abandonment, which is a one-handed sword. I think there's a wind gun with a low cooldown as well. And there's some Wind Fists too. So yeah, there's a few weapons that could benefit off that. And then lastly, he has 20% Pursuit when awakened 3 times. So that's pretty good. Free 20% damage on chain attacks of 3 or more. His Debris is nothing amazing. Don't go pulling him 5 times. Certainly not if you're free to play. If we look at his weapon, it's pretty good. It does a job. So 25,000% HP, 2,800 attack, which is great, and pretty low defense at 1,399. First skill will be a Crush, so increase wind damage received by 15% for 30 seconds, and then a Render, so a defense break 30% for 30 seconds. Very similar to Fractured Akeha's Greatsword, but for wind again. So that's good on a support character for your wind team, although we know there's so many good wind support weapons like Sublime Light, Sublime Sacrifice, things like that, so there might not be room for this weapon, we'll see. In terms of passives, Tempest Boon, that's great, and then Training. Training's pretty mid. But it has a barrier skill too, which is useful for Recollections of Dusk. The Wind, one-handed sword, which looks like a kebab or a candlestick or something. This thing's really good for Arena as a sub-slot weapon. So decent HP at 25,000, good attack 2300 and 1800 defense. First weapon skills are Render, 30% for 30 seconds, so maybe it gets some use in Subjugation for some people. And then it'll be a Temp Elemental Boon for Wind, increasing wind damage 30% for 15 seconds. In terms of the passives, this is why it's a good weapon. Tempest Boon, 30%, very nice. And then Tempest Haste. So again, good sub-slot weapon if you're using a wind weapon as your main hand for Arena. It gets barrier skills too. So great sword there. This 3-star staff isn't the greatest, but it has Tempest Boon as a passive, so it does a job. But look at that attack, 900, yucky. So yeah, Lacrima Lev's great. He kind of power creeps EX Lavania in my opinion for Arena. And he's certainly going to be very good for your wind subjugation team. Alright, so that was Lacrima Lev and the Persona banner. Good luck with all your pulls, and I'll catch you guys in the next vid. Peace.